Auditors, EY, Debbie Hanson and Janet Dawson, who are joining us remotely. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from Councillor Edwards.
Declarations of interest. Members, do you have any interests to declare? No, thank you. Are the minutes of the meeting held on the 10th of April agreed? Agreed. Agenda item 4. Chief Executive, will you please introduce the report of the Council's external auditor, which draws members' attention to the draft 2021 annual audit report?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Members, you'll recall at the meeting on the 10th of April that this committee received comprehensive update reports from me and from the Council's external auditors, EY. The nub of the issue was the findings of the internal audit report into senior management pay, which had impacted EY's audit work in relation to the 2020-21 financial statements and their assessment of the Council's value for money arrangements for the year 1st April 2020 to 3rd March 2021, so for the same financial year. The issues which had resulted in a significant delay in the completion of the 2020-21 audit and the remaining procedures that needed to be completed to conclude that audit and the impact on subsequent years to 2023-24 were explained to the committee. Ms Hanson from EY attended that meeting and informed you, Chair, that EY's final audit results report and the auditor's annual report, which would report formally on EY's audit finding and include recommendations for the Council, was to be presented at the earliest opportunity to a future meeting of that committee, and members, that is indeed this committee. So on that basis, Chair, I would invite you to hand over to EY and Ms Hanson so that she can present her report to the committee.
That's fine. Thank you very much. EY, would you like to carry on?
Thank you, Chair. So if I just give a little bit more context, I think Angela has set out very well the background to our report, and we obviously presented details to this meeting in April. So this is our auditor's annual report. So this pulls together both our reporting in relation to the financial statements audit and our value for money reporting. So in a sense, we are not issuing you with a final ISA 260 or auditor's results report. We're just combining that into one single report. I will take the report as read, but obviously at the end of the item, very happy to take any questions. That's primarily because we have already reported the main elements of that previously. I will, however, just take you through some of the key conclusions on page 7, because that summarises the position in relation to the financial statements audit. And if I just take you back through, so that's page 7 if you're using the hard copy referencing. I think there are various different page numbers on the reports, which probably make it a little bit difficult for members. But it's basically the table which sets out our key reporting requirements. So in relation to the financial statements, as we've already noted in previous meetings, we are issuing a disclaimer of opinion in light of the issues that have previously been discussed. And that basically calls into question, and it means we're unable to conclude on the completeness, accuracy and reliability of the information and representations that we received from senior management at the time in relation to 2021 financial statements. Therefore, we can't have obtain the evidence we required to issue an audit report for the year ended March 2021. As we've identified those issues that are so pervasive, we're also unable to conclude on the financial statements as a whole and can't issue any opinion in relation to the Council's going concern basis of preparation of the accounts. We're also unable to give opinion on the consistency of the financial information in the narrative statement that's published along with the statements of accounts because of the fact we're issuing the disclaimer opinion. Value for money we've already touched on in relation to the serious and pervasive weaknesses in governance arrangements, which mean we'll be reporting by exception in our audit report and concluding that there are significant weaknesses in governance arrangements in 2021. In relation to the Council's annual governance statement, we also are required to report if, in our opinion, that statement is misleading or inconsistent with other information arising from our knowledge of the Council. And I think, notwithstanding the disclaimer opinion, notwithstanding our disclaimer opinion in the financial statements, we don't have anything to report in relation to the annual governance statement. We do note that the Council has produced an update to the annual governance statement, and we are comfortable that that presents an accurate picture of the additional issues that were referred to in our report. As noted previously, we are minded not to issue a public interest report because we are now satisfied that all of the issues are in the public arena, and therefore we don't feel there's any need for us to exercise our powers in that respect. So those are the main issues and impact on the sort of opinions that we have to give the various statutory requirements of our work. We then go on to give a little bit more detail about the key findings, and that's in the subsequent sections of the report. Again, those will be familiar to the members of this committee, and I won't repeat those again. What we've also included in the report is the findings in relation to our audit of the financial statements, as at this point we ceased our work back in April 2022. So a lot of that work was substantially complete, but all of the final reviews had not necessarily been undertaken. So those reports, those findings are just included for your information in terms of what we previously reported. We then go on to discuss, as I've said, the value for money issues and the significant weakness that impacts on the governance criteria that we're required to assess, and then provide some more details of the specific issues that we've identified. We've grouped those into sort of 6 main areas that we've included within the report. So the first of those was in relation to the lack of approval of the annual leave scheme, the annual leave exchange scheme, and also the fact that the Chief Executive approved his own annual leave payments. We've also referred to the fact that the payments to the former Chief Executive's estate did not go through appropriate process and were not subject to appropriate challenge. We've then also referred to weaknesses that enabled performance payments to be approved by staff to themselves. And then also the fact that there was lack of adequate policies and controls for recruitment and retention of staff, including areas such as market supplements. Then finally, we referred to the delay in the action being taken to address the issues identified since they were first brought to our attention by internal audit in April 2022. We do recognise the context of the processes the Council had to follow, but as discussed at the last committee, that was over 15 months, and we felt that that had a detrimental effect on the organisation. We have included some recommendations in the report, largely related to the Council needing to progress with its transformation agenda and ensure that the recommendations from the internal audit work are progressed. I probably wasn't going to say any more on the report because I think we have discussed it in detail before, but very happy to take any questions or discuss any of the areas in further detail.
Are there any questions? Any questions, anybody? No? There appears to be no questions from the committee. It's good that we've been able to consider the draft annual audit report for 2021, as this is an important step forward in us being able to finalise the financial statements for 2020-2021, and will allow the council to move forward. Members, is the draft annual audit report for the year 31st of March 2021 noted? Noted. Thank you. Agenda item 5.
Sorry, Chair. I wonder whether you would like to just formally thank EY for their contribution and for their report.
Yes, I'd like to thank EY for their contribution this evening. Thank you very much, and look forward to the final statement. Thank you. Okay, agenda item 5. Mr. Wasco, would you please introduce the report on the audited financial statements for 2021?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to present the financial statements for 2020-21 for approval, and it contains 3 recommendations. The first being that the committee approve the statements in substance. The second being that once EY have finalised the annual audit report, that the chair is given delegated authority to sign the accounts. And then the third recommendation being that the addendum to the annual governance statement, which I'll talk about in a moment, is approved for signing by the leader and the chief executive. So these draft statements were previously put to the committee in April 2022, but since then amendments have been required to the documents, but not to the actual numbers themselves. The numbers have not changed, it's just some of the wording. The first and most significant amendment is the addendum to the annual governance statement. It's a requirement that the annual governance statement is up to date at the time of approving the accounts, and therefore it has become necessary to reflect all of the work which has been undertaken following the issues identified with senior manager pay and conditions. Rather than do a complete rewrite of the AGS, it was felt a better option would be to create an addendum which brings together in one place all of the work which has been undertaken by the council's internal auditors, and EY as our external auditors. It contains much the same information that's already been presented to a number of different forums, including full council earlier this year. It also includes a redacted version of the internal audit report that was completed. As part of the addendum, there is an action plan in place, and many of the actions have already been completed. There's 2 actions which are underway and are expected to be concluded by September. They predominantly relate to the transformation programme. The second change that was made within the statement of accounts was to the events after the balance sheet date note. Similar to the AGS, this note had to be updated due to the delay in publishing the approved accounts, and here the change was simply to signpost the reader of the accounts to the addendum to the AGS to ensure that they receive that and note that. The final change was to the statement of responsibilities. This now reflects that the Section 151 officer has now changed from when the accounts were initially prepared to now. And secondly, it once again highlights the irregularities that were found and again signposts the reader of the accounts to the addendum to the AGS. As I mentioned, there were no changes to the actual numbers in the accounts, so beyond those narrative changes, some of which are quite substantial to the AGS, the addendum, there's no other changes to the accounts, and therefore I'd invite any questions from the committee.
Councillor?
Wrong one. Sorry, you can tell I'm new to this. Obviously not being party to anything that's gone on before, I've paid quite a lot of attention to the paperwork that's been sent out. I think one thing I'd really like assurance from members for is, are we satisfied that the changes you've put in place will make sure that what happened in the past can never happen again? Because I think we need that assurance.
Absolutely, Councillor. There's been significant changes. We've got new management structures in place. We've had the new constitution, which clarifies a number of the roles and responsibilities and what people can and can't do under the delegations. And taking all of that together, along with ensuring that processes are appropriate and fit for purpose, I believe we can give that assurance.
Members, as we've heard, the annual governance statement includes an addendum which sets out the action plan to address the governance issues that have been identified. Going forward, the committee will review this action plan every 6 months. Members, we have 3 recommendations set out at paragraph 3.1 of the report as follows: that the financial statements be approved in substance by the committee, that the chair, in consultation with the Section 151 officer, is given delegated authority to sign the accounts once EY have finalised the annual audit report and it is ready for issue. And number 3, that the addendum to the annual governance statement set out in the financial statements be approved for signing by the leader and the chief executive. I will move the recommendations. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Members, can I have a show of hands? Is that agreed? Agreed, thank you. Unanimous. Members, there is no other business, so this meeting is concluded at 7:16. Thank you for your attendance.